understand this relationship, because only after that we will find the conclusion. Do we need to be active in this area, and how we can help to save our world, and in which direction? So I'd like to share with you, and also to hope my vision that will be useful not only for you, but for our actually future practice in this area, because it's very important. And I will use solve complex global challenging approach. From the very beginning, I'd like to start from the definition, because without definition, we can't go further. And this definition is about sustainable development goals. As you know, it's really and deeply oriented on transformation process of our world. And how really we can transform this world, it's a question, because one people can do nothing without a group of people and without solidarity of the people who will save our world from many disasters, which comes from the nature, from many other areas. So I like to provide a call to action, if it's possible to say. But actually, sustainable development goals, it's a huge problem which was pronounced on the level of United Nations. It consists from 17 goals and 169 targets, and about 239 indicators. So it's a huge problem to analyze it. And we should use many different approaches, and methodology and methods are very complicated. We should find some tools and models and measurements to analyze it and to find good conclusions how to deal with it. So from the very beginning, I like to pronounce some ideas about systematic approach, which is absolutely evident and actual in this area to understand the differences between many methodological approaches. And I divided it in some sectors like research goals, data gathering, and review literature. It's well known and traditional approaches, but also we will identify some ethical considerations, case studies, approach, and policy evolution. So let's get started to analyze some methodology from the very beginning, because it's very important to move further and to understand the complex of this problem. So social interaction theory is the area of my concentration, and I hope you also will agree with that this interaction theory is very important for everyone who involved in the activity of social leaders, social organization theory, and how we can combine different approach, what the influence between government and social organizations, such as SDG is also organization, because it was named on the level of United Nations. Another approach is theory of individualization and adaptation, because we should adaptate ourselves to those which is going on the level of nature, and how we can combine this individualization and adaptation approach to the subject of our meeting, to artificial intelligence, and how it will help us to understand the specific of individualized approach, how we can adaptate our needs to the specific on global level, in some regions level, organizations level, in some specific situation. So my theory, which I call sustainable development theory, based on the innovation ideas to identify new approach like stimulus or impetus to search for new, more effective methods and technologies. Definitely, it wasn't appropriated on the global level, so we can now have a chance to appropriate it right now, and we will analyze how artificial intelligence uh, address sustainable development tasks and how it could be possible to solve this problem using solving methods and approach. So we will create some new solutions using such approach. At the very beginning, we will start from the actuality why the United Nations Sustainable Development Program, which was pronounced until 2030, has defines 17th Global Sustainable Development Goals. Why it is so important for everyone in the world, and how we can emphasize our role to achieve these sustainable development goals, how we can stress ethical implementations, and what is the potential to bridge technology. On this aspect of potential development in the collaboration, I will put my attention because it's a huge socioeconomical question. So from the very beginning, we started to analyze in global context, and we are spreading this question to environmental monitoring, resource management, and climate change modeling as well. There are many ethical and social aspects um, around these questions, like security, discrimination, and work impact issues. So the solving approach is in finding not only government but democratic participation approach. And I will show how it's possible and what was going on and what happened and what did right now in this way. So I'll start from environmental monitoring. Environmental monitoring is the systematic process of collecting and analyzing data about the state of the environment and to identify changes in natural processes of human activities. So we use drones, satellites to analyze and identify regions with some problems. I hope you know a lot about that during the period of the war where we live in Ukraine. So drones not only have us to solve some environmental problems, but also to film ourselves like a winner during this period of the war. Another question is resource management. Resource management is a question of responsibility, how we can use natural resources like water, energy, forests, and minerals, and how we can provide some conceptual approach and how we stabilize some sustainability and preserve for future generation our land, our forests, etc. Because without these resources, we are not able to go further. Climate change modeling is the third approach which used computers modeling to understand and predict changes in the Earth climate. So on this picture, you can see some models and analysis from computer programs about climate changes and simulations, how to predict changes and average temperature. It's absolutely actual for all people, for inhabitants on our planet. So right now we see all climate changes and how we can use AI for that. This is a question. This is a really problem. And to my mind, citizens should be very careful to that. What's going on in which country right now at the head of this theory, but not in theory, but in practice? In such countries like United States, Canada, and China, a lot of questions with the help of AI uh, made, and they had a good result in it. For instance, in the United States, the problem of climate change at the Berkeley University in California started, and they used artificial intelligence to solve it. In Toronto, Canada, a healthcare problem also started and provided how to avoid heart diseases. Another questions also in the United States and India were developed and provided, but also, the problem of discrimination against African Americans were started and initiated by ProPublica Machine Bias USA organization. And also in India is a very great program, Epidemic IQ, which created a platform to collect some disease data from various sources, and it was spread by media and new portals. It was made AI for social goods. The next question I'd like to attend your attention is the potential uses of AI in achieving sustainable development goals. And now we will discuss what's going on and how to predict and how to find some response, to use some analysis in not only historical but actual data to predict natural disasters and support our warming process in a system way on our planet. So we will discuss it in order to understand the methods that used by AI to achieve a good result. A very important question is healthcare access. AI and healthcare access through telemedicine and diagnostic tools are very spread uh, in Europe and also in Australia and New Zealand. Also, this equipment is a good tool to prevent some problems with the weather, etc. Fresh area is very important, not only there, but in every country. And Tokyo Protocol, which was based on this conception and was spread around the world. Also, education area is very important for all of us because AI personalized learning platform and its improve access to quality education. We all need the quality education, and we are going to live in a quality world to prevent all disease disasters and to achieve the best quality of the life which we want to have. But the problem is how to achieve it not only for our country, but all over the world for citizens were not so popular education. We know that a lot of people now in the world are not educated. So financial inclusion solutions and financial support will help these people, but poverty is still provided like non-effective mechanism in many countries in the world. And United Nations provided a new technology which will help in on distance education to to increase the level of educated people in faraway countries. Also, the question how to save our biodiversity was analyzed on the level of United Nations. We should to provide to help our wildlife to protect them and to have some monitoring what's going on with these animals. A lot of animals right now are rare, and there are many of them are still dying. And we should to find the way how we will find and identify there and how we can help them to survive in the wild nature. So, guys, I like to present some ideas which were spread on the level of United Nations, and we will discuss right now. I'll show you some results of combination how AI collaborate with the idea of sustainable development approach. So the first task, no poverty, and AI can predict and prevent extreme climate related conditions. And this is very important because it's on the first place, no poverty in the world. It's the main idea which was provided until 2030. It will have, to my mind, the best result that we have right now. But it depends from many factors. Another SDG number two is zero hunger. After no poverty, it's also very actual because hunger people they have no efficient food and transport. And these questions should be solved together because how we can distribute and eliminate hunger, it depends from new technology. And I could help people to solve these problems. Also, around that is the problem of achieving food security and improve the process of nutrition and to help to achieve a higher level of sustainable agriculture. SDG number three is the good health and well-being. It's very important for people to be healthy during their life. And now in our country, in Ukraine, we are really very terribly think about the future of our nation, who will survive after this war, and how we can help people to be mental healthy, and what we should to do in this way, how we can support any problems with the psychology of the people, how we can improve our system of health defense and what experience we should take into account. The quality education number 4, SDG task, and AI can provide personalized education for all, promoting quality learning experience. So it will help teachers to collaborate and to use different methods for different category of the people. On the picture, you can find different people which able and not able to study and to learn some uh, subjects, but AI will help them, and it will be a good tool to overcome their problems. SDG number 5 is also very important. It's about gender equality. And dear colleagues, you know that in every country, which are very important questions like gender equality, it's a question of surviving nation because women and men are equal in their um, tending to be free and on the highest level of government, the problem of reducing gender inequalities are very important, and AI will help in this way to find new solutions and decision making, how to find the ways and how to help for both gender to achieve leadership roles. Another question is question of clean water and sanitation. Without clean water, we have no chance to survive in our world. So for many people in the world, to find the clean water is the question of surviving. And the I have with this solving problem will be very efficient and have some benefits for many areas, many countries, especially for African citizens, and not only. It's a very broad question, and population of the world right now in this period of the time need to solve this problem. And we also are worrying about clean energy. It's also SDG problem, and on the level of United Nations, it was mentioned that to optimize energy production and prediction of renewable energy sources, it's a problem for the world. We have some progress in it, but anyway, we should save our energy. And comparison with 2018, right now, the situation is much harder, and we have a lot of problems in this area. Even in our country, we feel what's going on in this direction, and we are trying to save our energy because it's might to be helpful for our army. Another question is a question of economic growth, how we can reduce some risk and how we support economic growth in every area and how we can provide workplace safety, because a lot of people in the world, and we talked about that many times in connection and context of AI, providing they're very, very, very terribly they're worried about their place where they work in, and their place will be saved only when they will think how to develop their professional skills, how not to stop on the previous level. Another SDG question, which was analyzed on the level of United Nations and Sustainable Development Goals, is a question of collaboration between industry and innovations, and how to provide innovations in infrastructure process, how we can distribute innovation in industry, and definitely innovations right now in different countries are very different, and we feel that innovations depends from the needs of the population. Now in Ukraine, we think about innovation methods, how to defend our country as well as our nation. So SDG number 10 about reduced inequalities, because it's a real problem and we should identify ourselves as people who create equalities. So inequalities like a problem between poor people and rich people are very spread in the world. So to find some mechanism and to find some substantiation approaches would be possible with the help of AI. I really believe that it is possible to find a new place of legal job and work for the people who provided their talent and their abilities and received some good results in that. So we can go further, and now we are on sustainable cities and communities, number 11th level. So AI can assist and optimize transportation and infrastructure planning and population control to contribute sustainable urban development. We all want to live in sustainable cities, in modern buildings, but how we can provide the concept, how we can build our towns and make it more efficient to live in without some prognosis, without actually modern trends. Number 12, it's a question of responsibility, how I helps modern business eliminate inefficiency, and how we can provide the best approach for various sectors to promote responsible productions. It all depends from the economics process and from the industry, but we should live in a defended country. So AI plays a crucial role to predict and respond to climate conditions, to aid climate actions initiatives, and AI will be very effective because it helps us to understand the process which is going on the land. Climate actions moved not in the best way. Every day we watch the problems, and right now we are spectators of the problems around the world and what's going on with the nature. So climate changes, it's a great and huge problem for every citizens in the world. So we all depends from the water, and life below water is also a huge problem for sustainable development goals. So AI can safeguard marine ecosystems and predict oil pollution and protect aquatic life. So how it's possible? A lot of research work uh, will be in the nearest future about the ocean and what's going on the level of it, how we can define our ecosystem, how we can achieve good products, and save our water. Without that, we will not survive. Another question is life on our land. I can detect and address land-related issues like desertification and protect our ecosystem. It's promote sustainable use ecosystems. Life on land is very important because we should have a chance to save our biodiversity and to save our land from the problems and to save it for our future generation. This is the idea and concept of SDG, to save our land for the future generation. And we should be very careful in the world where we live in. A lot of problems, but we have to save it. Another question is peace, justice, and strong institution systems. So we should to prevent our life from corruption, to contribute the development of just institutions. So we should have a really open access to information, and AI will help us in that to create informed base for citizens, for institutions, to prevent a lot of conflicts and resolutions, which will help people in the world to defend their human rights. And also, we should remember about freedom of speech, and it's very important. And the last SDG, number 17, is the partnerships for these goals. How to implement AI partnerships. This is the issue which is also very important around not only business partners, but also for all individuals in the world. So, guys, we right now collected what is possible to do, how we can make a prognosis of the possible collaboration between AI and SDG partnership. And it was a part of the concept of United Nations organization, which was accentuated over there about these questions and about their importance. So, in conclusions, I'd like to remind you what was just now mentioned. We mentioned number 2 about food supply chains and effective hunger reduction. Number 3, the about healthcare. Number 4, the aim to promote effective education. Number 5, to identify and reduce gender inequalities. Number 6, about water management and water access. Number 7, how to optimize energy production. Number 8, about safety and efficiency supporting economic growth. Number 9, and many others. So a little bit about impact of artificial intelligence on sustainable development in whole. We have some problems, ethical considerations about inequality and employment impact. It's very actual, and we should find the way how to save our data about the ways how we solve these problems. So this is a complex problem, and we should use some interdisciplinary approach, as was mentioned before. So right now, I'm going to finish my presentation, and I have a little bit ideas which to my mind are also very actual. In conclusions, I'd like to add that the study process of collaboration and cooperation between AI should use some methodological approaches such as interdisciplinary, regulatory, ethical focus, inclusivity, job transition, data protection, monitoring, public engagement, and collaboration. And all of them should have some long-term vision. So we should collaborate and to find new technology and ecology and exclusively concepts how to avoid some problems which possible to be in the future and how collaborate on our planet and defend it. Thank you for your attention and we'll be grateful for your question.